is 5.15, 6.92, 7.63. Hold, I will discuss later coefficient of variation. Now, my first question, what can you say about the mean, Leslie? Leslie Sungkit, what can you say about the mean?
The mean, Doc, is the same lang, Doc, from section ABC.
Okay. The mean is the same. Now, normally, if I will, can I make an assumption if it's the same? What does the mean represent if you're going to, if my score, Leslie, is higher than the mean, what can you say about my score or my performance? Let's say, Leslie, my score is 23. My score is 23. So what can you say about my performance?
Above average level, Doc.
Okay. If it is above average, what can you say? Good or bad?
Good, Doc.
Good. Okay. Now, we have here standard deviation. So, Leslie said the mean are the same. The mean can tell you something about performance. You have to remember that if the data is higher than the mean, that means it's better. But if the data or the score is lower than the mean, then it isn't good because the mean is the average. When we speak of dispersion, what does it mean? Kenneth Abad? Or standard deviation, Kenneth, what does it mean? Kenneth?
They are different scores, Doc, or scattered scores.
Will it tell you something about performance, Kenneth? Yes or no?
No, Doc.
No. Okay, thank you. My question for Marvin Escala, of the three groups here, which group of students has performed well in class? Is it A, B, or C? Marvin?
Doc, pardon,
Kinsa
doctor.
man nga grupo aning akong gi-present A, B, or C ang nag-perform og maayo?
I go with funds kanang
Check the data.
Doc.
Which group? A, B, C, or none?
C, Doc.
Again?
C, Doc.
C ang kay Marvin. Joycel, which group performed better? A, B, or C? Joycel.
C, Doc.
C. What about Jeneline?
C, Doc.
C. What about Art Jared?
Doc, I think we cannot determine the performance because it's only talk on the, when we say mean, it's only talk on the performance of a student, but when we say standard deviation, it's a scores distribution.
Okay now. In this group, in my presentation, Jared, which group performed better?
A?
A, B, C, or same? A, B, C, or none?
A, Doc?
A? Crisel.
They are just the same, Doc, since they have
Why?
the same average. They
Why?
have the same
Because
because the mean is the same.
Okay, inyo nang timan-an ha. Kahit pila pa na din gibutang nga standard deviation or CV, pag kitanaw ninyo sa mean nga the same, in other words, the performance is the same. Same naman ang ilahang mean. Mag-differ lang ni sila karon as what Jared said earlier in terms of score distribution. Let me repeat. You can have the same mean and come up with the same performance. That will be your conclusion. But in this case, they have the same performance, but the difference now here is on the distribution of the score because they have different value. Now, in this case, for example, may I ask, don't worry, Resi, your situation is same as mine, Rona. Which group here, Rona, nga pwede ta mag-ingon, Rona, nga it is homogeneous? Which group, Rona? Rona Jane.
Yes, Doc.
Or which group here, A, B, or C, where I can say that it is rather homogeneous in terms of score distribution?
So when we say homogeneous, the scores are not dispersed. So A, Doc. A.
A, correct. Okay, thank you. Now, Irene. Which group here, Irene, where the score distribution are scattered in, if you make a comparison? Which group, Irene? Is it A, B, or C?
A, Doc.
Irene?
Doc, A.
A? No, ang A gamay man. Rona said that group A is rather homogeneous because the standard deviation is small. Now, which group here has the big standard deviation? Is it A, B, or C?
C, Doc. C.
C. Okay. So in other words, ang C karon ang atuang heterogeneous while A is homogeneous. Now, let me have a little discussion about CV. What is CV? Coefficient of variation. Okay. Let me discuss it all together with you. Okay. CV is what we call coefficient of variation, or we refer to this as CV. Okay. Now, when we speak of coefficient of variation, it shows the relative variation of the mean. It is used to compare two or more groups of distribution. Let me repeat. It is used, okay. It is used to compare two or more groups of distribution. Okay. Two or more groups of distribution. And this is usually expressed in percent. Okay, naka-express siya sa percent. The smaller the value of the CB, the more homogeneous. So ana siya ha? The smaller the value of CB, then the more homogeneous. Second, the bigger the value of CB, in other words, the bigger the value of CB, the more heterogeneous. Okay. So the smaller the value of CB, the more homogeneous. The bigger the value of CB, the more heterogeneous. Now, what is the formula of CB? Our formula for CB is equal to S, that's standard deviation. We say standard deviation over mean. So let me repeat. This is the formula. Standard deviation over mean. Then we multiply it, the result, we multiply it by 100%. Okay. Now, in the case where the standard deviation, for example, if the SD is 5.15 and the mean is 18.25, please solve for CB. Please solve for CV
20,
when the standard deviation is 5.15 and the mean is 18.25. Pila man ang atong CV? Solve it.
28.2, Doc.
8.2. Let's try to solve it together. Okay. So it's going to be 5.15 over 18.25, okay, times 100%. Okay. So, okay, 5.15 divided by 18.25. What is the answer?
0.27.
The answer is, what is the answer?
0.28, Doc.
0.28. Okay.
Eight.
Share, same answer, 0.28. So 0.28 times 100%, what is the answer?
28.21.
28%.
28%.
28.
28%, Doc.
28%. Is there a decimal point between when you divide 5.15 divide by 18.25?
0.28, 21, Doc.
Okay. So it's going to be 28.21%. Okay. Please solve this. SD again is 6.92. Mean is 19.25. SD is 3.23. Mean is 7.78. Okay. Solve. Gang, wag gisiga gang. Sagbot? Dili ta pwede ka kuan? Kanang ibabaw lang tong kuanon? Mm. Wala tayong mga ugang. Done, learners?
Yes, Doc.
Okay. What is the answer? Give me the answer right away here. What is the CV? Madeline.
That would be 0.3594 doc times 100%. That would be 35.94%.
35, not 55. Bongol gid ko. Okay. So 35.94%. Okay. So the other one, can I have Charlene Carion? Charlene, Joseph Aldwin. Joseph,
Yes, Doc. Good morning.
good morning.
3.23 divided 7.17 is equal to 0.4151. Yes, 100% is 41.51%.
Okay, so it is 41.55%. I hope I got it right. Okay.
51.
So now yan, again,
41.51.
mali ni?
55.51.
Remember when the smaller the value of the CB, the more homogeneous. The bigger the value of the CB, the more heterogeneous. Okay. In the example I had earlier, if you notice here, which group has the smallest CB? IV Dago. Is it A, B, or C?
A, Doc.
A. Now we said A is homogeneous. So our conclusion is correct. It's consistent. While C, we said earlier that because of the standard deviation, the biggest standard deviation, so we can say that section C is heterogeneous. When we compute also for the CB, we notice it has the biggest CB. So in other words, it's consistent. So let me close this topic on standard deviation, mean, and coefficient of variation. The mean will only tell you about average performance, okay, but will never tell you about score distribution. It is the standard deviation that will tell you about score distribution. When it comes to CB, what will it tell you? It will tell us the variation relative to the mean. The smaller the CB, the more homogeneous. The bigger the CB, the more heterogeneous. In this case, for example, I gave you an example where the mean is the same. Because the mean is the same, you cannot conclude that one is performing better compared to the others because the mean is the same. Nakuha? Wala.
Yes,
Did you get
Doc.
it?
Yes,
Yes,
Doc.
Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Can I move to my next topic?
Yes, Doc.
Okay. We will now have measures of skewness. Skew. Okay. When we speak of measure of skewness, it is the degree of departure of the scores from the symmetry. What is the formula? SK is equal to 3. Open and close parenthesis, mean minus median over X. Now, ang mean straight ang line ana. Kana bitong median sa ang wavy ang line sa ibabaw. Di lang nako ma-show din because I'm not really very good on that sa kuan. So, you have mean minus median over standard deviation. The skewness can be classified according to skewness coefficient. If SK is greater than 0, it is called positively skewed. Kung ang SK kanang skewed value sa atong skew greater 0, then it is positively skewed. But when our SK or skewness is less than 0, then it is negatively skewed. Kapag ka ang atong SD will be equal to 0, then it is said to be normally distributed. Okay, so take note ha, doon ay tulo ka klase sa skewness. Positively skewed, negatively skewed, And you have normally distributed. So there are three kinds: positively skewed, negatively skewed, and you have the three lines. Okay. So mauna siya ang tulo nato ka skewness. Okay. So any comment and question? Comment and question.
None so far, Doc.
Nando.
None so far. Okay. Now, may I proceed to the next? What does it mean if it is positively skewed? In other words, kung positively skewed na siya, the tail is going to the right. Okay. The distribution where the thin end tail of the graph goes to the right part of the curve. This happens kanikunong positively skewed when most of the scores are below the mean. Kapag ka doon na kay mean, ang scores galing nimo below sa mean, ang tawag nato ana positively skewed. Now, in classroom testing, when the scores are positively skewed, in other words, the students who took the exam did poorly. Dili maayo ang performance sa mga student. Because we said, most of the scores are below the mean. And when the scores are below the mean, in other words, it's not performing well. So take note ha, basta positively skewed, then the scores, most of the scores are below the mean. And the students are not performing very, very well. So kanipod nga situation, because they're not performing well, only few students, only few ang nakakuha og dako nga scores. Now, in skewness, it will never tell us about performance. It will never tell us about performance. Dili siya musulti about reason sa performance. Again, sa positively skewed, sa skewness. Skewness will never tell us about the performance. Nadini, but tell us on the poor performance. Musulti ang skewness nga poor ang performance, but not on reasons why students did poorly in the examination. So timanan ha, when it is positively skewed, in other words, most of the scores are below the mean. Hence, we can say that the students are not performing well. Because only few got the scores at tanan dayon gamay ra ang nakakuha og dagko nga scores. So ingon ani ang may tabo sa iya sa iyang graphical representation. Mas daghan ang paingon sa ubos. Because most of them, most of them obtain scores lower than the mean. So take note ani right skewed, positive skewed. This is the mean. Pero mas daghan nakakuha og scores below the mean. The second one, opposite to it, you have the negatively skewed. Sa negatively skewed, most of the scores are above the mean. Now, what will happen, Leslie, when the scores are above the mean? Leslie Sungkit, what
When the
will
scores-
happen?
When the scores is above the mean, is positive skewed.
No. Ayaw gina. Kay sa skewness, basta galing negatively skewed, ang negatively skewed most of the scores are above the mean. When it is above the mean, in other words, the students perform well. Sa skewness inyo ning timan-an, mo lang yun siya. Giunsay gyud kani sa writer, no? Sa skewness, basta gayong positively skewed, opposite, dili maayo ang performance. Nganong dili maayo ang performance? Because most of the scores are below the mean. Pero kapag ka negatively skewed, negative, most of the scores are above the mean. Because they are above the mean, that means they are performing well. So ana siya ha, timanan ha. Kapag ka negatively skewed, maayo ang performance. Okay. Most of the scores are above the mean. Basta positively skewed, then the scores are below the mean. So dili kaayo maayo ang performance. Now, so mao ni siya ang indicator nato. When it is negatively skewed, it's going to the left. Can I request here Bethel Corinne to read what is written in the slides? Bethel.
Yes, Doc. Negatively skewed. Skewed to the left. Distribution where the thin end tail of the graph goes to the left part of the curve. This happens when most of the scores of the students are above the mean. The students who took the examination performed well. Scores are high and only few low scores. Shape of the score distribution indicates the performance of the student but not the reason why students got high score.
Okay, so let me proceed. Now, this is an example. Find the coefficient of skewness of the scores of 40 grade 6 pupils in a 100-item test in mathematics. If the mean is 82, the median is 90, and the standard deviation is 15, ang atong formula. SK is equal to 3. Mean minus median over S. So, 3, 82 is the mean, 90 is the median over 15. So we will have 3, 82 minus 90, it's negative 8. Over 15. 3 times negative 8, the answer is negative 24 over 15. Negative 24 over 15 is equal to negative 1.60. Now, makong question sa inyo. The negative 1.60, what does this mean? Unsa man siya, is it sa akong gihatag nga example kaganina, gihatag nako. Unsa may pasabot ang negative 1.60? Is this positively skewed or negatively skewed? Negative 1.60. Can I have Art Jared?
Negatively skewed, Doc.
Kay negatively skewed man siya, Art Jared. What can you say about the performance of
The performance of a student is good because
good?
scores
Why
are
good?
above.
You're correct. Why good? Because
The scores are above the mean and it's negatively skewed.
okay. Thank you for Thank you, Art Jared. Okay. So timanan ha, kapag ka negative sa measured skewness, basta negative skewed, mayo ang performance because most of the scores are above the mean. Okay. Now let's have another example here. Can you read this to us, May Olaco? Maya.
Yes, Doc. The slide is not moving.
Can you read?
Ang slide, Doc.
Nana, ako nag-show.
Wala.
Find the
Dili siya makita,
coefficient.
Doc.
This one.
Nag-mute, Doc.
Find the coefficient of skewness of the scores 40 grade. Okay.
Kani, makita dili.
Yes, Doc. Find the coefficient of skewness of the scores of 45 grade 6 pupils in a 50 items test in biology. If the mean is 46 and the median is 40 with standard deviation of 7.5.
Okay. So saan na to pag-solve? We have it here. 3, 46 minus 40 because 46 is our mean and our median is 40 over 7.5. So 46 minus 40 is 6. So 3 times 6 is equal to 18 over 7.5. The answer is 2.4. My question now, walay mag-answer. Bethel Corinne. Bethel,
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
is this positively skewed or negatively skewed?
It is positively skewed, Doc.
Because it is positively skewed, what does it mean now?
The students has poor performance, Doc.
Poor performance. Wow, okay. Thank you. Okay. Now, let's have an example. Example? Yes or no? Example.
Hindi kayo ka na maklaro, Doc.
Yes or no? Sige.
Medyo
Let's have an
choppy, Doc.
example.
Pikit.
Please solve. Solve, please. Kindly solve. Done?
Not yet, Doc.
Okay, Mr. Hison, dictate to me. How are you going to solve this?
Wait, Doc. 3.82.
Mr. Hison.
Yes, Doc.
Hinahinay sa, ha?
3.82 minus 4. 3.82 minus... Out ng calculator, Doc. Wait, Doc. 3.82 minus 4.01 equals to 0.19, Doc.
Ayaw sa short, ayaw ikuan.
Ay, sorry, Doc.
Ayaw sa pag-shortcut. Napag over.
Over 2.67.
Wala yung mas ha kay. You know, we will not learn kung atong i-diretsyon. Okay. So, what's the answer? 3?
3 times
3.82 minus 4.01.
as negative 0.19, Doc. Doc.
Over
The answer, Doc, is
Okay, so 3 times 0.19. What is the answer?
negative 0.57.
Okay.
Divided by 2.67 equals
What's the answer?
negative 0.21.
What can you say about, is this positively skewed or negatively skewed?
Negative po, Doc.
So when it is negatively skewed, what does it mean?
The scores are above the mean, and meaning the students are performing well.
Okay, thank you. Let me now have, can I have, wait, let me have Krisha Bedor. Okay, Krisha, take.
Okay, Doc. It's kuan, Doc. SK is equal to 3. And open parenthesis, 17.89 minus 13.65.
Okay,
Yes, Doc.
then,
The answer, Doc, is 4.20.
answer, Dirich.
Okay, sorry. Over 4.67.
Okay. So 17.89 minus 13.65. What is the answer?
4.24, Doc.
Over
4.67.
So 3 times 4.24. What is the answer?
Okay, this one. 3 times 4.24, Doc, is kuan, Doc, 12.72.
Over
4.67, Doc.
4.67. Okay. So what is the answer now? 4.72. Okay.
Over
2.72
Doc.
divided by 4.67. What is the answer?
2.72, Doc.
2.70.
Hold on. 2.72, Doc. Asan mo siya? Ako ni siya, Doc.
Okay.
12.72
So,
over... Yes, Doc.
yeah, 62, 22 over 4, 7. What is the answer?
2.72. Ako na siyang gikuan, Doc. 12 kay 3 times 4.24 is 12.72 over 4.67. So, ang answer din, Doc, is 2.72.
Okay. Now, I have a question for, dili ma-answer kung dili tawagon ha. Cheryl Darling. Cheryl. Cheryl Darling.
Yes, Doc.
What is 2.72? What does it mean?
It is, Doc, positive, Doc.
What is positive?
It is score are below the mean.
No. What is the
So,
complete phrase? Is it positive lang taman?
positively skewed, Doc.
Okay, positively skewed. So what does it mean when it is positively skewed?
The performance is not good.
Okay,
Score are
thank
below
you
the
for
mean, Doc.
that.
Yes, Doc. Thank
Okay,
you, Doc.
thank you. Any question with positive skewness and negative skewness? Question. Yes, Leslie. Leslie,
Doc, is it necessary to round up the numbers?
is it necessary to round off the numbers? You can round it off to the nearest hundreds.
By 2?
Hundreds. Two digit after the decimal point.
Okay. And isa po, Doc, what if nasa tendency, Doc, may mo siya negative 0.99? Automatic ba siya round off to 1?
Basta kay negative. Kapag ka negative, negatively skewed yun siya.
Okay.
Kahit pa na mo i-round off, di yun na siya mahimong positive.
Okay. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Okay. Let me proceed to the next. The third type, normal distribution. Okay, please read to us what is normal distribution. I want to listen to the voice of Joycil Lacson. Joycil. Joycil.
Normal distribution. So the mean, mode, and median are all equal. The curve is symmetric at the center around the mean. Exactly half of the values are to the left of center and exactly half the values are to the right. The total area under the curve is 1. The curve has a single peak, meaning the distribution is unimodal.
Okay, now the curve has a single peak, meaning the distribution is unimodal. Let me continue. So, ang ikatulo ha, normal distribution. When we say normal distribution, ingon ani ang iyang naong. In other words, this is the center kaning tunga. Tawag na to ani mean. Normally, zero na siya, mean na siya, mean. Kung wala nang mean, butangan ko na siya zero. But since naman ang mean, di na mean. When you move to the right, that's positive 1 standard deviation unit. When you move one more step, this is now plus 2 standard deviation unit, and this is plus 3 standard deviation unit. When you move to the left, this is negative 1 standard deviation unit, and here negative 2 standard deviation unit, and here this is negative 3 standard deviation unit. Okay, now between the mean and 1 standard deviation unit, ang in terms of percent, it is equal to 34.13%. Opposite also from the mean to negative 1 standard deviation unit, that is also equal to 34.13%. From 1 standard deviation unit to 2 standard deviation unit, it is equal to 13.59%. And from 2 standard deviation unit, it is equal to 2.14%. Kaning after the 3 standard deviation unit, it's now equal to 40.14%. Kung pila ang area sa right, maupod na siya ang area sa left. If you notice, between negative 1 standard deviation unit to positive 1 standard deviation unit, it is equal to 60.
Hindi ka na maklaro, Dok.
Wala si Doc, no? Sir Leslie, nalata na ang baboy.
Go,
Sabi
ma'am.
ko, budya paggabi ang klase pandamay.
Sir Leslie, so
Sir, sa may atong batan karon sir.
Di ta maka-take over, sir, kaya wala tayo hinanawan aning math. Numbers, tayo solving.
Tundungan, tanan sa exam, no?
Sir Gerald, pa-send mi sa imong recording, sir, ha?
Teka, what happened to ma'am? Naputol?
Sige ma'am, okay, send.
Thank you, sir.
Nawala si Doc, sir.
I see. I also have my own recording, so I'll also send it as well. Just post lang sa GC yung recording natin sa Jared.
Sir Leslie, explain na Sir Leslie ang imong video.
Pandamay. Sige sir, nara sir ang last nga video with the one, normal distribution. Ikaw na sir. Ako lang isend ang video para ikaw mag-explain.
Continue daw ta 6:30 tonight.
Goodbye.
Na-receive ko yung message. Doc said continue na lang tayo 6:30 tonight kasi nag-disconnect siya.
Bye, classmate.
Hi,
Okay,
classmate.
I'll send my recording to you later pag tapos na mag-upload.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.